Let's now move our focus to the fixed income space. The market kicked off the week on a quiet note. Meanwhile, on the FX market, we saw the Naira weaken by 5 kobo due to the absence of oil flows. Now, for more on this market, I'm joined by Augustus Nwachukwu. He's an analyst at Stanbic IBTC Global Markets. Augustus, it's great to have you on the show. It'd be good for you to tell us, first of all, what happened with the Naira yesterday. We saw that it weakened, losing 0.24% to close at 158.3. So tell us more about that.
Well, basically, we saw the depreciation in the currency because of the non-existence of the oil flows that we usually see around this time. And so the corporate demands couldn't be matched by normal oil flows we saw. So,
and what's the outlook for the Naira today?
Well, today we would most likely see Naira appreciate because we've seen a couple of oil flows this morning. So we might see the Naira appreciate the currency.
Now, we also know that there was an auction yesterday, Ardas auction, total sales amounting to $298 million. Tell us more about what happened, and I assume there's another one tomorrow. So what are the expectations for that one?
Well, it's the same trend we've seen in the past couple of months on the Ardas. So we would see CBN offer another 300 million, and we would most likely see the same kind of amount being sold at the auction. And we've been stable at around 157.29 for a while now. So I think there's not much has been seen at that window.
Just like many analysts expected, there was another OMO yesterday. So can you run through what happened at the auction?
Well, they offered to mop up about 90 billion from the system because the system was about over 360 billion in excess liquidity. So they issued OMO bills to do this mop-up, and they sold them at 11.53, 11.7, and 12% levels. So we expect CBN to come up with another OMO auction today.
You expect another one today?
Yes, because there's a lot of liquidity still in the system right now. So we still expect more of this OMOs to continue as we see a lot of OMO maturities during the course of this month.
When you say there's a lot of liquidity in the system, tell us a little bit more about what you mean. I mean, I know that yesterday we opened with 360 billion Naira. So where are we now in regards to liquidity?
Well, we are about 343 billion Naira. The only mop-up we could see is the WDAS, which was sold on Monday, which will be mopping up tomorrow. We expect more of this almost to continue because market is still well over 300 billion. And we expect another OMO maturity on Thursday over 187 billion to drop. So this would cause more OMO auctions.
What will this mean for the T-bill space, though? I mean, we continue to see a bearish trend there for the 5th trading session yesterday. So what's your expectation going forward based on everything that you've just said?
Well, technically, we've seen the short end of the curve weaken slightly in reaction to the OMO issuance. And this would be more of the trend we will see because as long as the central bank keep issuing OMO bills in the short term of the curve, we will always see market react to that. So we will see more weakening of the short end of the curve as long as we keep seeing OMO maturities and OMO auctions. Okay,
let's talk about the bond space. We saw that market closing flat yesterday. What can we expect to see happen with bonds today?
Well, I think most of the activities in the bond, we've seen them most, and a lot of times we've seen the bonds being quiet for a couple of weeks now. So we do not expect much to happen in the bonds. I think the market is not bid at this moment, so we're not expecting a lot of people to bid for the bonds, and so people are just protecting their bids. We don't expect much activities in the bond as we speak,
Still on bonds, we saw the April 2015 4% recording the highest loss yesterday. What was behind the activity in that particular bond?
Just like I mentioned a couple of minutes now, I told you that we are experiencing what players are protecting their bids. So we do not expect much activities, but people will keep protecting their bids not to be sold to. So that's why you're seeing that kind of apparent weakening of the bonds in the 2015 maturity.
Now, I believe there's a bond auction next week. So what are your expectations for that auction?
Well, the auction, which would offer the 2016 and the 2030s, our thoughts of the 2016s will be we won't see much of a demand for the 2016. But we expect the 2030s to be more demanded and subscribed because those bonds look like the bonds the local pension funds will participate more in.
Let's talk about the AMCON bonds, which will be maturing at the end of the year. Tell us how you think that will affect the fixed income space.
Well, we already, the market already envisaged those maturities, and those had already been priced in before now. So I do not expect that to affect the bonds more, because already people are already protecting their bids. So, which is telling you that a lot of people expect that bonds to mature, and that had been priced in before now.
So, Augustus, as we approach the end of the year, how should players handle the fixed income space? What are some of the things that you think will move the market?
That's why we've seen the bond space being quiet. I think most of the investors and players have done what they need to do in the bonds market already, and that's why you're seeing most of the players staying on the short end of the curve. That's why you're seeing more demand in the T-bills market.